Okay, we're now going to one of the themes of the conference. We've talked a lot about charter. We've talked a lot about is it falling. And here's a nice cheery title to end with. I'd forgotten about this. Is the charter fractional and card boom over? We're delighted to have Randy Brandoff from Aviation Portfolio, Rich Ropp from George Priester Aviation, Jackie Dalton from Sparrow Executive Jets, Chris Tasco from Fly Alliance, and they're all coming up now. Come up now. We've got, yeah, don't worry. Ignore the Craig Ross's name on the picture. Craig's too scruffy to be allowed on stage. We've rejected him. We've got standards. Okay. Randy, you can start. Do you want to just explain very 20 seconds what Aviation Portfolio does?
Absolutely. Aviation Portfolio is an independent expert advisory firm. We advise clients. We have two different lines of business: whole aircraft owners and fractional card and charter clients, charter flyers. And the independence comes from the fact that our clients pay us a flat annual subscription, and that is our only revenue. So we do not have any bias whatsoever. We follow the flight profile and the priorities of each client, and that leads to some are right for charter, jet card, fractional ownership, often a portfolio of one or more of those things, but we have absolutely no bias. We follow exactly what the data says, what the priorities are, and basically our service, whether for whole aircraft owners or for active flyers, is to optimize your economics, save you time, minimize hassle. The details vary per client because it's a bespoke service.
Jackie?
Hi.
Do you want to explain very quickly about Sparrow?
I'm a broker. I am a jet charter broker. Sparrow Executive Jets is my company, and I'm going into my 5th year. I represent excellent charter clients and focus specifically on management companies that are running great fleets and doing business well. So. Okay,
let's go to a management company. Rich, do you use them? Do you use Priester Aviation ever?
They are very 91 focused, and they really, I think maybe a couple of years ago we did a couple of flights together, but not recently. But I know Priester well.
By the end of the panel, you'll be doing loads.
We're trying. We're trying really hard to do business together. So George J. Priester Aviation, I know you know the name. Priester Aviation, we turn 80 years old next year. I joined the company about 3 years ago. Actually, it started right here. Yesterday was 3 years ago when I connected with Andy. His goal after he bought his dad out was to grow the company. And over the last 3 years, we've successfully done that. So it's Priester in Chicago. We have Mayo Aviation out of Denver, Centennial. And then we have Hill Private Aviation out of FTY, Fulton County. So again, our focus really is aircraft management, 91. I am trying to break the ice off of the charter piece, which you just don't flip a light switch to get that going. But our owners are a little biased. They really slow to approve, 135 trips if they are on the AOC. We're finding a lot of our owners really aren't chasing charter like in prior companies. I've been with, Jet Aviation, with JetLinks and others. So we're just looking at that. And I think the way that we see the charter market for us is probably 150 hours of owner use and 150 hours of charter use, maybe 200. And we do have some other, maybe 2 or 3 airplanes that are higher than that, but we're not focused in that arena. So that's kind of what we do.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm president and co-founder of Fly Alliance. I'm joined here today with my partner, Kevin Wargo, our CEO. Also delighted to have my wife, Christina, Wendy Wargo, my COO, Eddie Silva, and our publicist, Kelly O'Shea. So a strong and motivated team. We specialize in private jet charter, jet card membership, aircraft management and sales. We've got a Part 135 operations division, our 145 repair station and MRO. Most notably, we've done 38 aircraft disassemblies this year, so a very active MRO as it relates to disassemblies and our parts business. Most notably, myself and Kevin, specifically Kevin, he started the Dumont Aviation Group in 2011, and I had started my career with Magellan Jets.
I didn't know you did that many part outs. That's a lot.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, Randy, let's go to you. How are you seeing the market? How are your customers? Are you seeing any drop in demand?
We are not. The reality is there were some who started flying privately during COVID who were, in their 70s or 80s, had to do it for pure health reasons. But the majority of late 30-somethings, 40-somethings, 50-somethings, this is a pretty addictive drug. And if you have the means and when you get that taste, you may find where is your place in that pyramid. Should I be chartering? Am I jet card? Am I 50 hours? Do I qualify for fractional? On the other end of the spectrum, do I qualify for ownership? And then you'll right size up and down as needed, but you're rarely going back and finding commercial as your only solution. So generally, we think that the demand is there, but on the higher end, for the highest quality and the fractional piece, for the highest quality end of charter, it's sustainable, and you can see it because there's some pricing elasticity that you've seen in the last number of years. You're at or above, pretty much at the highest pricing you've ever seen, and we haven't seen it, reflect in a decrease in demand.
So the fractional boom is not over?
Definitely not.
Okay, what about the jet card boom, Chris?
No, not at all. Our jet card memberships are flagship product. We sell over 250 jet cards individually each year to individuals and corporations, and it's really the catalyst to our business. Our typical demographic is male, 40 to 75. They fly anywhere from 25 to 100 hours a year, and from there, one of the expert recommendations that myself and Kevin can make is whether or not that individual, our member, is going to purchase a fractional share or purchase one of our aircraft for management. So no, we're continuing to grow, with double-digit growth month over month.
This is all very cheery and rosy. What changes have you seen in charter demand this year?
I agree with Randy. I think that if you're flying the right client and you have somebody who really is utilizing business aviation for the reasons that justify it, they're flying. My clients are flying. I don't represent clients who are the broader demographic that have entered our space that are looking for deals and locked-in rates and empty leg selling. I've been pretty vocal. I squawk a lot about jet cards and things like that. And I think that at the end of the day, it's about flight-by-flight performance. I'm a big advocate of the independent operator network. I think without companies that are out there supporting the lift and running a good operation with a good culture, we're going to continue to see some hiccups. I see them quite a bit. I deal with a lot of different management companies, and I will say the ones with the programs tend to have more operational issues and hiccups and some low morale sometimes. So I really think that it's all about flight-by-flight performance and real-time financial accountability to what you're paying for and what you're buying.
What's your typical customer?
I have the best customers ever. They're all very self-made, very driven, very involved with their communities. They're doers, they're job creators, they're philanthropic, very family-oriented, generational, they're all champions in sports, and they're just amazing people, and they fly like 100 hours or more a year. That's my entry-level flyer. I do not run a big business. I believe being small is being substantial, obviously. So they're just good, successful people who private aviation to them is not an aspirational thing. It's not an ego thing. It is a part of their life and their lifestyle. And I believe that they're the type of clients that we want and need in our industry overall, especially on my side of the business, which is the charter. And I would say people who at some point in time can smartly decide to make the right kind of acquisition.
Rich?
Yeah, so our markets are pretty simple. We're Chicago, we're Denver, we have an Aspen operation as well, and then Atlanta. So when you look across that, really kind of that Midwest Rocky Mountain feel, our collective brand has 200 years of aviation history. So really, our brands kind of carry water for us on the retail charter side. We're trying to get away from the wholesale as much as we can, and we're trying to collect a desired fleet of aircraft. We're seeing more and more tail-specific requests now, because again, when you bring a Praetor 500 or 600 on, you bring a 350 on, et cetera, and people know you have those available, it sort of sells itself. So that's what we're seeing.
And are you seeing similar trends across your three different bases? Because they're quite different cities, aren't they? But is it exactly the same in all three?
Yeah, they are. And when you look at, each one, they're a hub city for one of the big airlines, right? You can go anywhere in the world pretty much nonstop. However, I will tell you, anybody from Atlanta, I'm not picking on you, I hate Hartsfield. So that actually drives the charter business because it is terrible. Security is the most unpredictable, and it's a haul. You're putting a couple of miles on your feet when you're going through that. So there is an advantage when you look at the simplicity of air travel through charter, or jet cards, what have you. You can be in a hub city and still pick up a fair amount of that because of the hassles going through the commercial field. So getting back to your ask, each one is different. The mission profiles are very different. So when you get over to Atlanta, I mean, they're short trips. They're usually an hour, maybe 1.1 hour mission profile. You get over to, I'd say Denver, a lot of that mountainous flying. You're going down to Scottsdale, Southern California, et cetera. That's a standard mission profile. Chicago, it's all over. I mean, we're running people halfway around the world. So that's the bigger market for us. But Denver it's a very fickle market. I'm still studying that one and intently, try to figure it out. So,
Randy, about 2 years ago, we were talking about how customers who'd come in weren't getting brilliant service in private aviation. There were lots of, FBOs were full, there were flights delayed, there were a lot of aircraft. Has the experience got better?
I think the answer is it depends, and it's on a per client basis, it's on a per need basis. The charter market, the average aircraft continues to age. It's an awfully wide brush to say just the charter market. There's the low end with aged aircraft, inconsistency in pilots, the notion of recovery doesn't exist. So there's folks who come in, and you have a conversation with a prospect, and it's like, to use wine as an analogy, there's folks who come in and literally their knowledge of private aviation is the equivalent of I like red or I like white, versus someone who's, old world, preferably a little age on it, Bordeaux blend. So there's a huge difference. For those who don't know any better and you're going into some of the lesser quality, it can be very painful. But for those who do understand the difference, or we're working with, who have gotten into the products that fully understand what they're getting, have the right terms, are eyes wide open, have de-risked their itineraries, then the product can meet expectations a lot of the time. And when it fails to, a lot of the vendors out there, no one's perfect. The dispatch reliability, if you're 70 or 80% over a consistent period of time, you're doing very well. In reality, it's not that you're never going to make a mistake. It's how quick can you recover, and how you handle it with that client thereafter. So I think it's not perfection. We never sell. We kind of talk clients into the notion of it's not what you think. You're not paying a premium from commercial and it's all perfect. It's not, but you are going to control your time. You're going to go when you want to where you want. And if you have the right expectations and you're working with the right folks, then it can be close to what it is you want it to be.
Jackie, would you say it's getting better?
I think so, absolutely. I think that everything that we've recently been through, and we kicked butt. I mean, this industry really did. And we can look at the things that we did wrong or things that we can fix, but we performed. We met a demand, and we proved ourselves as a very vital industry. And I think that we're coming out of the boom into a build. And I think that it's definitely recognizing who is quality, who is committed to the nuts and bolts of this industry versus all the shiny stuff that's out there. And the truth is, this is just an awesome industry with so much intelligence and great people. We're seeing it here. And so I think we have great things to come. I really do. I'm excited to be a part of it.
Rich, I remember, I think 3 years ago when you were talking, obviously getting hired, Andy was exhausted. I remember him being, he was, and everyone was. I remember having, Solaris, Dan had been adding aircraft, EGM, everyone had been adding and struggling to find pilots. Is it easier now? How are your team feeling?
It's a loaded question. It's not, I don't think it's any easier, honestly, and I don't think it's the size of our company that has anything to do with it. We have robust benefits. We have owners that are offering to pay well. I think we're still truly competing with the airlines on every level. So that really drags us down. Again, and we're not looking to just put a butt in a seat. We're looking for high-end service. We're looking for people that understand that safety is our foundation. And by the way, we also have to serve the client well. We have to communicate amazingly well to make all of this work together. So finding those personalities is tough. That's tough in a good market sometimes. So yeah, we're struggling. And again, we're operating really good airplanes too. So there's a battle.
Chris?
I'm sorry?
Do you think service levels are better for customers than they were, right at the peak?
Yeah, I would follow with what Rich was saying, that my team and I were working extremely hard in order to meet that demand. The private jet consumer is absolutely an educated one, and he knows that there are options out there for him. One thing that I'd like to think that we've done really well is we've positioned ourselves as an alternative. We say things like we're focused on consistency and safety, simplicity. We're trying to attract a specific type of customer, in some particular cases a charter customer, but more so we're really looking to position ourselves as an alternative to the larger fractional providers. And I'd like to think that we've set up the appropriate infrastructure, staff, locations. We operate brand new equipment, the Citation XLS Gen 2, the Citation Latitude. And in order to meet the needs of that customer, we need to be able to prove that we have, these layers of infrastructure and operations. And we're absolutely working, 100-hour weeks to make sure that we get that done. We all are.
Okay, we've got a question from the audience. Chris, you can have this. Is a legal charter a concern to the industry, or is it not really impactful enough?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say absolutely. Specifically on the ones like us that are operating aircraft. I think it goes back a lot on the type of operation that you have, your relationship with the FAA, the awareness that your chief pilot, your director of operations, my COO, my CEO, they're all communicating on a daily basis. It's never the wrong time to say, to go back on that old aviation saying, if you see something, say something. We have a good grasp of the wholesale, accounts that we're working with, and we really focus on the top 25% of them in order to, keep our fleet moving in addition to our retail customers. But yeah, I would say yes, we're absolutely mindful of it, and it starts with our leadership team.
Do you think you lose business because of it?
No, I don't think that we do, no.
Rich?
I kind of have a smirk on my face because I can't tell you the endless hours that I've spent on the other end of the phone with a couple of our owners who have basically told us that if we send a couple of our people out to the end of the runway by the fence line and take pictures of people getting on and off airplanes, that they're convinced that there's a legal charter and that he's losing money. And it is happening. It's been happening for decades, right? The divot that it leaves in our budgets, I don't know. I don't know how deep that runs. The question is, if they're getting cheap flights, would they actually pay a retail price? Probably not. Like when we really screen those people and pre-qualify them, no. They're getting kind of a free ride. So you want to turn it in. Again, when you're carrying AOC, there's a ton of responsibility, a ton of cost for that infrastructure. That's where we don't like to be cheated. And again, safety's our foundation. So if you're willing to cheat the rules over here, what else are you not doing? And that's where, we really try to hone in on that. But the reporting agencies are overbaked right now. They're understaffed. So it's really hard to get any results. At least that's my opinion on that.
Okay, Jackie, Dustin Cordier is saying, what quality standards or consumer protection trends are you seeing evolving in the charter space? Are you seeing any?
So I come from aircraft operations. I started on an airfield, Manassas Regional AGF, and so the root of my becoming a broker was founded on that side of it. So I understand aircraft management, charter management, and those types of things. I've now just officially crossed over into the chart at being a broker 1 year longer. So I've been in the industry for 15 years. I stand for the broker being a big asset to this industry And also the fact that we don't have any standards or guidelines or licensing in place for qualifying who can be a broker and buy and sell charter. And I look at every single deal that I do, every single flight, not only as a service to my clients and doing the right thing for them, but also the charter company and the asset that I'm putting my clients in and the pilots and what I'm exposing them to. And not to kick back to the election here, but I think we need to make private aviation private again. I think it's way too open access. I think a lot of the technologies that are out there are a little bit of a risk to us. I think even some of the programs that maybe don't do enough KYC to make sure that who we're selling these deals to are really good for our industry and our safety and security. So I would like to think, I'm definitely paying attention to the work of the associations, definitely paying attention to management companies. I think Quinn Wicker was great. I think every management company needs one of him. Same thing with you all. So I think that the industry, person by person, what I call the sparrows, are diligently working to improve what they can improve. We're seeing a difference between who's quality versus quantity. And I think we're correcting. I think that we are making a difference day by day, but there's a big effort underway.
To piggyback on what Jackie said, I think people are shocked at a minimum to understand that, tomorrow I could create my own brokerage and I could do it from my bedroom with a Gmail.
You could do it this afternoon.
Right, and the absolute lack of diligence they're doing, just going to the databases, finding you a few options, giving you the perception of choice. So on that end, it's scary, and standards aren't getting better. But the other piece is, the major ratings agencies, what qualifies as a passing crew has been diluted a lot as there's been a pilot shortage, and that's one of numerous examples. So the standards absolutely, we look forward to seeing that trend start going the other way, where the standards are requiring what would be a higher level of safety and security. But the trend has been unfriendly.
Can I add? Oh.
Well, I was just going to add to that. I would say when you look at the two different areas, so again, those that have the certificate, right, you covet that. There's so much infrastructure you have to carry, so you sort of create a bullpen, if you will, of go-to people and companies that you use. So there's a little protective measure there where you're kind of measuring each other, making sure insurance is in place, training, all of those things. When you get out into the broker space, and there are great brokers. Again, Jackie's an example of it, and we do business with several great brokers. What shell-shocked me, it's been a year ago at NATA, it was disclosed that there are 16,000 known charter brokers. Known. Now that really fragments our business. It really dilutes it. So where we sort of, our protective measures kick in, we probably get every week 20 requests from brokerages we've never heard of before. And we just kind of push them away because there's probably there could be some integrity there, but it takes a lot to do the research on that. So I think we have our own protective measures that really kick in. And again, we just quickly have to lift the hood up to see what qualifications you have. Can we do business together? So
we encourage our passengers and our customers to come to our facilities. And while we operate as a broker, in addition to an operator, I'd say approximately 35 to 40% of the time, we're working with off-fleet partners to service our members and passengers. But the number one thing that we do when when a new customer purchases a jet card or purchases a fractional share, the first thing that we do is we encourage them to come to our facility in Orlando, to come to our facility in Stewart, to see the people that are working on the aircraft, to see where our leadership team is. They have a grasp of what the infrastructure looks like, a relationship with myself or Kevin, and then from there we can set the expectation, and we follow that with typically a brand new aircraft, our Citation XLS Gen 2. We're very specific right now in selling that airplane. We're very specific right now in selling the Citation Latitude because we can control the experience, in turn, creating a better quality standard, if that makes sense.
Did you want to come back in?
I did want to just point something out that it's something within the management community, and Chris just spoke about it. Operators becoming brokers, and I understand.
Brokerators.
Yeah, they're brokering, so everybody's a broker, not just, I'm sorry.
Brokerators, that's the term.
Brokerators? Oh, I had not heard that, that's fun. And so I understand why the management community is doing that. They're thinking that brokers are out there making a windfall of money without any financial liability or losses and things like that, which isn't true. And they want a piece of that business to come back. But what you're running into is you have an operator that you utilize because they have a great safety program, and they're running a broker arm, and they're sourcing and giving trips to an operator that would be on my do not fly list. So I believe there's a conflict of interest there. I think it's oversaturated. I think we're running over each other way too much. I have an over 90% conversion rate. I do not go to market unless I have a locked-in trip. It's qualified. I don't waste anybody's time on the other end. I know I saw it. I know that that's happening. But I think that that's something we have to tighten up a little bit as well. What defines a broker? What makes a good broker? Who are they? And what's best for this industry in that arena?
Randy, how many charter trips do you book in a day typically?
I mean, we, on an average day, we're tracking 80 some odd flights. Of them, I mean, it would vary. It's, to give you a fuller answer, we follow where the value is in private aviation. Pre-COVID, the delta between average price, depending on the aircraft type per hour, and the quality consistency favored, a majority of our clients were chartering more than not. In a post-COVID landscape, a majority are in a program or in a fractional program because the highest quality charter was priced pretty much on par with fractional. There were other benefits being in those programs. So right now, of those 80, I'd say 75% are probably fractional and 20 to 30 could be charter, but it'll vary by day.
And how often do you have a trip where the operator doesn't deliver, doesn't give the money back? How often do you have an issue which you can't solve?
I mean, we're very big believers in preventative medicine and have negotiated a lot of that in advance, and also will only work with a finite list of charter operators. It's comparable to the list of what NetJets or FlexJet would do off fleet. So rare, but how often do we hear about that with other lesser, folks with lower standards? Daily.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. You hear lots of stories. Jackie, when did it last happen to you? Or has it never happened?
What?
Unscrupulous operator, or you pay something, the flight doesn't happen, getting the money back's hard.
Oh, no, I'm very on top. Same thing, preventative medicine. I mean, I run my brokerage business like it's an operation. I know when in advance, I check my positioning. I really fight to protect everything about my trip. I catch some recently, just to bring a point home about, I don't want to say overselling, but a little overselling out there in the membership and jet card programs and such. I had a trip booked, and I wire money very fast about real-time money movement for operators. I know that that's key. I hope I have a strong reputation in that. And wired the money, trip went, and within the next 24 hours, I got an inside call that told me that the company had 40 trips booked and only 22 operable airplanes. And pretty sure they knew that before I sent my money. So it was very quick to be on top of it. And if I had not called ahead to be like, where is my plane? When am I positioning? Where's my tail number? All that kind of, and it's a great operator, but that's that kind of thing. But I'm pretty good at preventing it.
Chris, do you think there's more stories of it happening than it actually happening?
I think it happens a lot with the smaller brokers that are unpoliced, for sure. I rely back on the experience of my director group. The 4 sales directors, of which I'm one of them, we've all been working in the space since 2010. I'm very proud of the group that I have. So we collectively book, if we're not using our fleet, we're using no more than 10 other fleets. So we've got a relationship with everyone. We've been in good business standing with them. So I would say that it is happening. We do get those phone calls, I'm at the airport, there's no airplane here. This is the price that I paid. Can you help us? That happens often. But again, I rely back on the experience of my director group to make sure that preventative medicine, we avoid that.
Rich, got another question. Whether booking through broker or not, do Argus and Wyvern Ratings or others protect passengers?
Well, again, we're Argus Platinum. Oh, sorry, forgot I had a mic. Yeah, so we're Argus. I think we are still Wyvern, but we live and breathe by the Argus standards. We try and follow all of those ratings. We have two independent safety, so a director of safety and a VP of safety, and they circumvent all of our leadership, go straight to Andy, chairman. So again, we look for that type of integrity with whomever we're doing business with. That's super important to us. That tells us a whole lot about, again, that business, how much they're invested in it, et cetera. So they are, I think the problem that we have is you're actually able to quickly paste these banners out there to say Wyvern something, and it looks like you're certified. You've paid to go through the audits when you really haven't. So I think we need to educate our clients on what they're really looking at, what they're really getting. So again, my airplanes may be more expensive for a reason versus what you're seeing out there. So I see a lot of that out there where it's kind of like, no, you're not. You're not actually that. So you do. You have to go out and really fish the pond to see what you're getting.
From what we see, I would say they don't, blanket, no, they don't protect you. Because the problem is generally being willing to be audited is better than an operator or vendor who's not. And obviously being, if you're Argus Platinum or Wyvern Wingman, then you even had an on-site inspection. So that degree of transparency generally speaks to, an openness of, hey, come check out what we're doing because it's going to pass muster. But I think the almost universal ignorance of the average consumer out there to thinking, oh, what do you mean? It's Argus Platinum, I'm good. Yeah. And having no idea that what that actually means, there's a massive delta there that's problematic.
I'll be honest, I don't know the difference between Argus Platinum and Argus Gold. Right. Okay, well, we've got a really nice question to close on. And short answers, please, if that's okay. How do you see the future in the next years? Let's make it next year. And you can cover fractional if you want or you can't. How optimistic are you for 2025?
Oh, I'm so ready. I think it's going to be fantastic. I'm psyched for 2025. Short answer.
Yeah, I couldn't be more excited about 2025. We've got an excellent, best-in-class citation fleet share fractional program, which is an alternative to the top providers. And my position in that is to sell them that product. I want to be able to say to someone that's been with NetJets, someone that's been with FlexJet, say, look, I've got a similar product in terms of brand new equipment, no compromise on safety, no compromise on service, quality control, in a very aggressive price point. And I think that we're going to sell through it.
Are you most excited about fractional next year?
I am, because again, it creates the best customer for us. Like Jackie said earlier, we're in a very good position to select our customers. And if we've got that appropriate product for them, we can position ourselves well to execute.
Rich, 2025?
Yeah, so I think, the election's behind us, and I think the market has spoken. Like we've seen the market uptick almost 2,000 points last week or so. We're hearing a lot the last couple of days about, what's going to change with the tax code, right? There seems to be some conditioning to make our market move. I'm also celebrating, I know it's painful, but every time I fly commercial, and everybody asks me all the time, don't you fly private? No, I fly Southwest, I fly American. My nightmare travel story is the reason we're in business. This will continue, I promise you. It's probably not gonna get better. So I think there's always gonna be a book of business for us. So I think 2025 and beyond, I think we're gonna have some great years ahead of us.
Another acquisition next year?
Say again?
Another acquisition for the...
I hope not. I am so tired. I'd love to sleep a little bit more in 2025. I keep telling Andy, I'm like, every trip he takes, no, we don't want to do that. But we are in somewhat of a growth mode. But we'll see. Again, we're after a very specific type of operation. So, and they're limited out there. So we'll see. We'll see what the future holds.
Randy?
There's been too many predictions, so if I really could tell you where the markets would be a year from now,
yeah,
no,
you have to.
I have the benefit. Aviation portfolio has the benefit of we don't have a book to talk. There are tens of thousands of active private flyers that a year from now will still be active private flyers. If the value equation is in ownership, fractional, cards, charter, we're going to help them to find it and to meet the service levels they require. I think that the market will continue to evolve. I think in each pocket, there's going to be opportunities, and there will probably be some vacillation. But, I think you heard from Ken. You heard, fractional. You heard from Leona, Vista, there's a lot of robust demand in their parts of the market. I don't have anything to contradict that, but there's also going to be opportunity for others.
Okay, I'm going to let you get away with that because we're running out of time. And it's earlier in the conference I'd have made you do it again, but I'm going to let you off now. Thanks so much to the panel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.